Minnesota, you can help make Target Center the home of the How this year. The Timberwolves are hosting audition for action-packed senior dancers, percussion, and more. Sign up today, Timberwolves.com/entertainment, Timberwolves.com/entertainment.
Ski-U-Ma, State Fair, Ski-U-Ma. One of my very favorites in the market, no matter the sport, is the head coach of the Golden Gophers hockey team, Bob Motzko, ladies and gentlemen. Can I get a witness and a raucous round of applause for Coach Motzko, 9 to noon, into his 7th season as head coach of the Golden Gophers hockey team, into his 20th season as a head coach overall in college hockey. Now, you first of all, thanks for joining us. Great to see you, brother.
Awesome to see you.
Things good?
We're moving.
Yeah, you're a little quiet right now. You either got some Golden Gophers hockey related news that has saddened you, or you've eaten too much before 11 a.m. and it's like me. Everything good?
Well, I'm into the football thing right now.
Oh, you are?
And that's what you and I were talking about.
You're talking about PJ Fleck tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, you got the Gophers taking on North Carolina.
Right.
And that's a start that gets everybody excited, the start of a new year.
Yeah.
And then everyone knows I'm a diehard Viking. And so you and I could have spent another hour talking.
Yeah.
Because I want all the scoops from the inside, and I know you got them.
I love, like, when I'm sitting on a bus in the middle of nowhere after the Vikings have just taken a tough loss. And this is age old. And I get a text from Bob that will be something positive about how somebody played well despite the loss, and that's kind of the role, not only as a friend but like a coach. Like, that's what coaches do, is like when people look at things 9 of 10 negative, you got to sometimes find the positive to uplift people, right?
You have to. I mean, it's easy to be on the negative side, and that's what most, fans and people want to go to. But you're only going to cross the bridge. You're only going to climb the mountain and keep building on the positives.
Yeah. Now, into your 20th season as a head coach, seriously, doing something you love, what a blessing. Round of applause for that. Into a 20th year, man. That's fantastic, Bob. And you've coached a combined 741 games. That is a lot of yelling at referees, isn't it?
Well,
over the
I'm going to tell you, you go back to year 1, 2, and 3, there was a lot of yelling. But as time goes on, you don't yell as much because you know it's coming.
Right.
Like, you know it's coming.
But I would think it'd be the other way, that if you yell young in your career, the Andy Von Hellemans of the world are going to discipline you and teach you. You don't yell at us. But when you got 20 years of equity, when you yell, they're like, yes, Bob, 3 bags full.
You got to save it. You have to, they know if you're going to, when you're on them for something, if you save it up, if you're not always going after them, they know you've got a point. You make your point and move on. But honestly, you really got to bury it. Officiating, it's just there. They're trying their best. They want to do their best. It's hard at times.
Yeah.
In all sports.
Yeah.
But you've got to live through it because we still got to find a way to win the game.
How often have you heard this? Say you send in, like what you think are blown calls to the Big Ten or whatever, WCHA back in the day. How many times have you heard this in your life from like a commissioner or the chief referee person, whatever? It's a fast game, Bob. It's a fast game out there. You know what I mean? It's fast for the players, but it's fast for the refs, too. Yeah,
well, usually, a lot of times you get the apology letter, and I'm sorry, and now the older coaches don't even reply. Here's the clips. Don't even reply.
Yeah.
And let's move forward.
Right. Now, I forgot to ask you last year, and I'm sorry I forgot to ask you, and maybe I did, but where did you place the Spencer Pemrose Award that you won a couple of years ago as Coach of the Year? Like, where is it? Where's it displayed? Or did you not even get a trophy?
I did. It's in our back bedroom.
Oh, wow.
Like, I don't have anything in my house of my
memorabilia.
Yeah, it's all crates and are down in the basement.
Yeah.
I always say one day when I redo something, maybe I'll put it out. But it's in one of our guest bedrooms because it's the only place my wife said I had to put it. So,
all right.
But I'm so appreciative of that season, and that was really voted on by other coaches around the country.
Oh, no doubt. Is it Penn or Pemrose? I can't remember. It's Penn.
Pemrose.
Yeah, Pemrose. Spencer Pemrose. Do you know who he is?
Colorado College.
Yeah, I had no idea.
This was the long time, the Broadmoor. It's all tied to the old Broadmoor
hotel.
And,
yeah, but the philanthropic nature of this man back in the day, like the giving and the charity, guy was unbelievable.
Yeah. And that's how hockey really got started in Colorado Springs. So I was a big supporter of the old WCHA.
Right.
And then they put their support behind the American Hockey Coach Association.
Yep. Spencer Pemrose, Colorado philanthropist, and he managed the first 10 college hockey championships in Colorado Springs, which I think is really cool. How do you respond to this, Coach Motzko? The Spencer Pemrose. While here at the University of Minnesota, Don Lucia never won it.
Should have.
When I looked back, I couldn't believe he didn't win it one of those 2 years.
No.
He did win it in '94 when he was coaching Colorado College.
Yep.
Right. So that's crazy. Did you, speaking of Colorado, did you or have you ever run into Zeev Boyum, the DU defenseman Guerin took in the first round?
Just been able to follow him, especially with World Juniors last year.
But you haven't played him?
We have not had.
Right.
We have Denver, I believe, on the schedule next year. I'm sure he'll be gone. They're going to want to get their hands on him. But great. From everything I understand, great pick by the Wild.
Yeah.
To go with what Faber's doing. They really got a couple young defensemen that they're going to be able to build their decor around. So, and great for college hockey. That you got a Gopher there, and then a future Denver kid there, and there'll be two bookends that are going to really anchor that decor.
Yeah. Did Faber happen to slide you a couple of 20s after he got that deal?
Nope. He didn't, but. He did remind me because I kind of teased him. He said, "Listen, that doesn't start till another year, Coach. I don't have any money till that starts."
Yeah,
I said I don't believe him.
From Hobie Baker Award winner and elite blue liner Jordan Leopold, played for a bunch of teams in the NHL for like a decade and a half, almost 20 years. And you were an assistant to Lucia back then. Well, from like Leo through Brock Faber, okay. It's like defensemen not necessarily morphine over the course of a couple of decades, but like Leo and Faber or some of the other high-end blue liners you've had, like how does Brock stack up with guys like that?
Paul Martin, Keith Ballard.
Yeah, Paul Martin. That was the name I was looking for.
It just goes on and on.
Yep.
Well, the state of Minnesota, we do an incredible job with our youth development in our state, and where it really shines is in our defensemen. And great skaters. We put some great athletes back there, and start. And a lot of times, the high school coaches want to take a lot of credit, but it goes back before that. And this is me raising two boys. How our youth system does a developmental job, and we've got to stay strong with our youth developmental and not be play for pay. And
what's play for pay?
That's what's happened around the country.
NIL?
No, the pay for play is like New England. That's what's happened. You start to pay to play in midget programs.
Oh, geez.
You don't play for your local youth hockey associations.
Wow. Can you still call them midget programs?
Oh, well, you're paying to play.
Crazy.
And because hockey can be an expensive sport, but we've made it affordable. We've got all the rinks in our state. We're still the top development state in the country for hockey players. Mm-hmm. But we really shine with the fence. And you look at 2 years ago, Jackson Lacombe and Johnson and Ryan Johnson, whose dad was a Minnesota guy, played it for the Gophers, and then Brock Faber, and then this next crew of guys we have. I have never coached a defensive corps like I did 2 years ago with depth of that D-corps. 7 or 8 of them are going to play in the NHL.
Wow.
Now 2 years later, this D-corps, and it might be better than that D-corps.
Right.
And
this one coming up?
This one coming up, and it is scary how
holy cow.
It's got a little more size, and it's a little nastier. And they've got potential. And, Ryan Chesley and Renzel and Cal Thomas and Middlestat. And you just go on and on.
Yeah, well, let's not forget the USHL Defenseman of the Year, Leo Gruba. Is it Gruba or Grubba?
Gruba.
Yeah, Leo Gruba. Blue line. Well, the blue line's stacked, and now we have the USHL Defenseman of the Year. This is kind of an embarrassment of riches you have back there, isn't it?
It is, and we're so fortunate that that's how it's played out. 2 years ago, and we're still crushed. We lost that championship game.
Yeah.
They just slipped away at the end, but this decor we can build our team around, and we've got firepower up front. But it's going to give we're changing goaltending, and so Justin Close leaves us now after being our starting goalie for 2.5 years, and this decor can hold the fort. Why these goalies get comfortable, and sort through it.
Okay, so when you talk about Minnesota high school programs, and this is the state of hockey, and it starts at the youth program and all the way through college and stuff like that. But you will associate, say, with football, which I know you love. Texas with a lot of good skill players, Southern California, a lot of good skill in quarterbacks, South Florida, wide receivers, running backs, Western Pennsylvania, or Eastern Ohio, offensive linemen. Minnesota's the state of hockey, but I mean, is it a conscious effort, by parents raising blue liners at a very young age? Because they're not going to score as much as the centerman or the forward, so it's kind of a selfless way to go about it.
Well, it at some point, some youth coach probably pushes someone, or someone gravitates to play defense. But I think it's not just defensemen. It's skill. We're doing a tremendous job developing skill and talent,
right,
in our state, and that is what we're built on. Now, granted, we've gone out with a Logan Cooley and a Matthew Nyes, and Matthew Wood's coming in this year with us as a transfer.
Yep.
We will Thomas Vanek. It's all
Poso. It goes on and on.
Lou Nanny. We have gone outside of our borders before to fill our roster, but our majority of our roster is always going to be in state.
Yeah.
But it's our talent level, and and that's our benefit.
Were you at St. Cloud State when Dave Spehar played here?
I was.
Okay, is he
no,
not?
I was not. I was at Miami University in Ohio.
Right. I'm sorry to hear that. But nevertheless, you were there when Ben Roethlisberger was there, weren't you?
No, he'd left.
Wow.
We just raised him in there.
Yeah, maybe Martin Nance.
We had the
former Vikings wide receiver.
I was there when we had the Timberwolf guy.
Oliver Miller?
No. Played with
Wally Zerbiak.
Wally Zerbiak.
Oh, yeah. Nice call, Nordo. All right, 3-2. Is Dave Spehar not, no NHL, no, is he not like one of the fastest hockey players you've ever seen in your life?
He was a natural goal scorer.
Holy cow, was he fast.
I was not in the state. I was gone and coaching. Yeah. My career had me other places.
You're breaking down Toledo.
And tremendous goal scorer.
Yeah. Now, 4 consecutive postseasons for the squad. All right, led by Bob Motzko. And you're, being a football guy, you're familiar with Bum Phillips, the former coach of the Houston Oilers, where they kept making the playoffs, didn't get to the Super Bowl. He'd be like, this year we knocked on the door. That year we knocked on the door. This year we're going to kick the some-you-know-what down. Is this the year you kick the door down? And do you have a championship-quality team, do you feel?
Oh, yeah, I do. I believe that in my heart.
Sky Yuma.
The biggest thing that, and my players would tell you if they were here right now, that I believe, analytics has taken over sports now, and you have all the number breakdowns. Our strength coach is going to go into all the testing here next week when our guys are on campus and we start school. But the best test that I still like is the eyeball test.
Yeah.
And when you got leadership and talent and just heart and character inside your group, we've got a chance.
Yeah.
There's some things that have to come together for us.
Yeah.
But this team has a chance to be standing at the end of the year.
Most importantly, health, right? Keeping like Snuggerud, all right? He's back, and I would imagine it's big that Jimmy is back. And my insiders tell me that his freshman year, I remember that, he was unbelievable. I'm not going to say declined last year, but maybe in some areas wasn't exactly the same, because who did he play with, Cooley and Nyes?
Yeah, that line.
Yeah, one of
the great lines in the history of college hockey.
Really? Not just here, overall? That was unbelievable. You're right.
It was phenomenal, and it was freshman, sophomore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
of that, and in last year's team, I'm so high on this team, which makes it sound like I wasn't on last year. Last year's team had a chance.
Yeah,
but when we did lose Cooley in August, that was a loss. It's
I remember.
We lost our quarterback for the year.
Yep.
Right? I mean, though, did you say might be back? You were just kind of having fun with us.
For who?
Our quarterback. You said.
Which one? I was playing around.
You were playing around. You were playing around.
Well, God may mysteriously heal the meniscus, but he can't change the NFL injury rules where, like, all of a sudden, hey, we're sorry. We actually want to make it so he can come back.
Yeah, you got me all excited over there when you said that. But
no, you're going to love him, though, when he plays.
Every sports team has got to, you build your team, and then you want to stay healthy and keep it intact. And last year's team fought through it. And Jimmy went through what he still had 20 goals, and it just wasn't as prolific as the first year. But that's part of the development process that all athletes go through. And
no doubt.
He went through a little slump at one time, and I said, well, you didn't invent a slump. The 9 million players before you have all been through a slump. And you got to do what they do. You got to grow through it.
Wait, I'm tripping right now. The freshman you had last year, I think he played at Totino Grace, and I fell in love with him because of a bus conversation. Yeah. Or what's his name?
Oliver Moore.
Oliver Moore.
He told me to say hi to you today too. And
my man.
I said I was going out to the fair. He goes,
"What? Well, we got to get Ollie. I got to get Ollie out here and spend a segment with him, getting to know him a little bit. Oliver Moore is unbelievable.
He'll do it.
Yeah, and he's a cog. I don't know if he's a key cog, but he's a cog.
Actually, I just was with Oliver this morning in the locker room when when I was walking through, and he's, how you doing?
Yeah.
He goes, God, I just feel so much different this year.
Wow.
He goes, and it's so great to be back. And I said, well, when you're a freshman, you come in nervous. You're kind of looking around the room. You're not taking ownership of the room.
Yeah.
And I go, that's what, he knows now, and those are the benefits of us keeping Brock Faber through his junior year, or Jackson Nelson, getting him back last year through our fifth year. Like I've always said, I'm a really good coach when I got really good players.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's amazing when you've got good players.
Yeah.
But to watch your players grow and mature, and what Ollie went through last year as a freshman, he was a freshman.
Right.
He showed those. He was a first round.
He was fantastic.
Yes.
Of the Blackhawks, right?
Yep. First round draft pick of the Blackhawks, but yet I know we're only scratching the surface to where he's going to be, and that's just the nature of athletes. You wish you could just shake it out, and they're great right from the start.
Right.
But he had a lot of great moments, and this year we're really going to pay benefit for it.
Well, Coach Motzko, Bob Motzko, coach of the Golden Gophers hockey team, into his 7th season here, 20th as a head coach, one of my very favorites in this market. Bob, you and the squad dipped into the old transfer portal for a 19, you mentioned him earlier, 19-year-old, it's going to be a junior, he's 19, I think he's 19, Matthew Wood from UConn, and a goalie, Liam Solier?
Yep.
Solier from Penn State. So let's begin with Wood. How can Matthew Wood help?
Well, at that time he's 6'4", first round draft pick with Nashville.
Is he really 19?
He still has. He's going to be a junior, and he came to college as an underager.
Wow.
And we're going to benefit greatly by him being at that age now where he's ready to take off more. And he's had 2 terrific. He was top player for Team Canada in the World Juniors, and he gets to play on the Canadian World Junior team again this year.
Oh, sweet.
So we're going to be missing a few guys this year, and we do have a series. We'll be a little short-handed, but comes in the summer, spent a few weeks with us. The biggest thing. He's a great young man, great heart. I go, how's everything going? Are you fitting in? He goes, Coach, it's awesome. He goes, it's awesome.
It's not UConn.
No, it was just hit something new for him. A lot of pro players switched. Are you comfortable? You know? And so he's a goal scorer. He's got great hands and big and lanky. But we're going to get the best out of him.
Okay.
And then Snuggerud comes back because at that time we thought he might be replacing Snuggerud. So it's an added bonus for us to get him in there. So we're really excited about him. And
that's just always a sweat this time of the year with certain players, right?
And I
it's
know
just a sweat.
Well, all the fans are following this. I mean, it's just consuming the news cycles, but it really affects basketball and football, the transfer portal.
No doubt.
And I haven't gone in the portal for a couple of years.
Right.
And conversely, when we get to Soulier, he's a French Canadian.
Yeah.
He's from Montreal.
Do you mind if I set up the goaltender?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start here. Losing Justin Close.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he was a favorite of yours. I just remember from our conversations. Wonderful kid. But I mean, that's a big void to fill, right?
Well, He played he was our guy for 2.5 years.
Right.
You got thrown into it, and he had the team, and a true number one goalie. I always say I don't pick number one goalies. I just pick starters. Mm-hmm. That's what a coach does. You start Friday, you start Saturday, number one. Emerge, and he emerged as a number one guy. Okay. So we lose him. But Nathan Airy, we got a ton of confidence. He was injured till Christmas last year. So he doesn't have a lot of experience, and that's why we dipped into the portal. Like, would you say
Liam Soulier?
And we full disclosure with Liam, he's played over 100 college games.
Wow.
Over 100 junior games. He's 25 years old.
Wow.
And it's kind of like picking up an old veteran quarterback to come in, and he totally got it. I said, we really have tons of faith in our young guy, and you would be a fit for us if something goes wrong, an injury, help our young guy. He goes, Coach, you can start whoever you want early, Coach, but I'm going to fight and make sure I'm starting at the end.
Well, see, here's what's intriguing to me. Liam Soulier was a goaltender for the Penn State Nittany Lions, a team Bob plays quite frequently. In fact, in 5 games against him last year, he scored 17 goals on him.
Yeah, so we did that against a lot of goalies.
Well, I know, but the other goalies don't end up here. I mean, how's the first conversation go with Soulier? I don't know. Yeah, I think you beat him 5 times, but I know you scored 17 on him last year. I mean, holy cow, I can't say I've ever seen something like this.
And he called us to start it.
Well, yeah, because he didn't want to get...
And he called us.
He was tired of getting scored on.
And I said, you know what, he kind of recruited me.
Yeah.
And I just loved his personality.
Good.
But he's got 50 wins in college hockey. Mm-hmm. He has won games in every rink in the Big Ten. So he's not going to be rattled when he goes to Michigan or goes to Michigan State or Wisconsin. He's
25 years old. He's going to be older than some of the professors.
Yes. And so it was. I just truly believe in this era of what college sports is.
Yeah.
But he's just when
that's awesome.
You have time to meet him, you're gonna know within seconds. Just a great young man, and he's gonna fit into our locker room.
Beautiful French Canadian name too, Soulier.
Yeah.
So it's like if he gets lit up for 3 or 4 and you lose, he doesn't speak English. It's like nous regardons la télévision. Pourquoi? Je m'appelle Liam. And then if he shuts 3 teams out, hey coach, how you doing? How you been? Everything good?
You got it.
It's kind of a nice double-edged sword. All right. Seriously though. What's up with Rhett Pitlick? He tied for the team lead in scoring last season, and in getting ready for this, I think the only way to ask it is he going pro or returning to your program?
I think all indications are he's going pro.
Yeah.
And there's NHL rules. He was property drafted by Montreal.
Yeah.
Had to go through the process to become a free agent. And I've stayed on the sidelines with that, but I think
How do you stay on the sidelines how do you do that?
Because you got to let I don't get in. I let the players follow their heart or where they want to be and what they want to do. I'm never our players know this. I didn't re-recruit Brock Faber to come back,
right?
Or I didn't re-recruit Jackson Lacombe to come back for his senior year.
Yeah,
or did I re-recruit Cooley? And he left after. These players know they follow their heart, their path where they want to go.
Well, if it's their heart and their path. And they're not, and I'm not going to go after parents or anything because they're parents and that's their child. So if the child, but like advisors and, unless the right people are in his ear, you know what I mean?
Rhett's got a great
representation.
Yes, himself. No, he's just got great.
Oh, why don't you just bump his NIL $5,000?
He's a very mature young man.
Any businesses out there want to give Pitlick $15,000 NIL? So maybe he sticks around. But that's a fair question, though, this day and age, right? With NIL.
It's not, well, that's really in the football and basketball world.
Yeah.
And it is leaking into hockey right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not near that level yet, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But the minute I say that, it changes overnight. But
well, Bob, when I asked you earlier, honestly, and you shoot straight with me, man, and you always have. It's like if you think your team, say you're in abnormal fashion, are going to have something potentially below 500, you ain't going to rip into it, but you'll set it up like this has to go this way and this that way, and then maybe we can win the division conference or whatever. You said, you firmly believe that your blue line is ballyhooed and that you like your chances to potentially get to the Frozen Four, meaning the Final Four. And that was all the while knowing that Pitlick, may end up going pro. So, I mean, like, what kind of a hit offensively will you take if that decision does come to fruition?
I'm going on right now on the group that's been training this summer and the returning players that we have.
I got it.
I always believe you get the first to 3 wins.
Yep.
We can get to 3.
Yeah.
But it's other things that are going to put us over the top.
Yep.
We have got to play with more grit this year. And that is going to, from our forward group, we've got to have a little more bite in us.
Okay.
And we've got some guys that we're adding. There's just a feel inside our room right now with that. That's what's got to come together to play at an elite level.
Okay.
And it's there. And it's just we got to buy in. We got to be a selfless group. I'll give you, we have a plethora of talent. And so some of our guys might be at another school where they would get 38 points. Well, they might get 32 with us.
Yeah.
Because we have to spread it. We have to be that deep team. And if we can sacrifice, have guys willing to sacrifice some individual accolades that are on there, the reward from it's far. But our leadership, Brock Faber never played on a power play with us. Now he plays on the power play for the Wild.
Wow!
So we get a little heat last year. But Jackson Lacombe and Mikey Kester and Ryan John, that D-core was as deep as you could have.
Yeah.
But Brock never cared. Brock was all about the team and winning.
That's awesome.
And that has bled through, and Jackson Nelson carried that on, and Sammy Walker brought that right before that. Mm-hmm. That once you get that leadership in your group, that it's about the team and how we perform, great things can happen. And we've been knocking on the door now for 3 years.
Bum Phillips.
And I don't remember Houston bumping. I know, is that Campbell days?
Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, Billy White Shoes Johnson, Bum Phillips. I'll show it to you after the segment.
Okay.
Bum Phillips was the coach. They kept getting to the AFC title game, but never won. Bum Phillips said, this year we knocked on the door. That year we knocked on the door. This year we're going to kick the sum B in. And everybody went crazy. It just kind of reminds me of your squad. Lastly, what keeps you going? What do you still love about coaching college hockey?
It's the club. It's a great group of guys, from the coaches that we've grown up with, like Frank Serratori and Tom Serratori, two of my best friends. One's at Air Force, one's at Bemidji. Mike Hastings is now at Wisconsin. We were at St. Cloud together, but Scott Sandlin and I we've all grown up together.
Yeah.
This is your club that you're in.
That's awesome.
And my family's enjoyed the ride. And you don't know. I'll tell the story. I said it when I got hired. I was an assistant. I probably told it last year, but I'll repeat it. I was an assistant coach with Don Lucia. Mm-hmm. We were in the bowels of Mariucci, and we had to go up to the concourse in the middle of the day. The building is completely empty, but we had to go up to the concourse. We got halfway up, and Don stopped. He stopped me. And he goes, "Hey, I'm from Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and you're from Austin. Can you believe we coach here?"
That's awesome.
And I go, "No, you can't." And so then I leave, and I love my time at St. Cloud State, and so fortunate that I was there as a player, as assistant coach with Herb Brooks. Did I ever think I'd be the Gopher coach? And I know how fortunate I am to be the Gopher coach. And there are a lot of days where you just kind of go, I can't believe I have this job, and get to hang out with you, and I get to follow this. I've been a passionate Twins and Viking fan and Gopher sports fan my whole life, so that's the part of it. And then working with young people, and I always tell our players, I'll be a lot. When you're the coach, you're the coach. And I'm a lot closer with my players after they leave.
Yeah.
And I
understood.
Thomas Vanek now, he's here in town. I coached Thomas when he was 15, 16, and then here at Minnesota. He's raising 3 boys, and I got to golf with him this summer at the Gopher event. And just to see what a great father he is. And
wow.
He's living out in Stillwater. He married he came to Minnesota. I always say when players come here to play for the Gophers, they don't leave.
Right.
They become Minnesotans. Lou Nanny.
Yeah.
And it starts right from there. And Peter Kennedy's still here, and Thomas Vanek is back. And Chris Checko is still here, who was a first-round draft pick. We recruited out of Vancouver. Mm-hmm. They're all here. They don't, you come here, you don't leave. And it's that camaraderie inside the group of the coaches and then the players that you coach. You really do, I'll use the L word, you really do love them.
Yeah.
And, you're not loved back all the time.
Right.
I get that. Comes with the territory.
Right.
But for the most part, you care about them. Well,
I love you, man. I really do.
Yeah, I love you too.
I appreciate your heart, and you and I have chatted about a lot of things over the last 5 years, and you're fantastic, man.
Right.
So, salt to the earth, Bob Motzko, ladies and gentlemen. Best of luck to the squad.
Come join us at the 2024 Minnesota State Fair live from Carousel Park, presented by Mesh Besher and Spence. We'll be broadcasting live through Labor Day. Come buy your favorite fan merch. Learn about your shot to be the Mesh Besher and Spence Rube of the Day. You could win a prize pack. Full details now, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
To noon at the State Fair as focused on a myriad things today. The Great NFC North debate was one of my favorites that we've done over the course of X amount of years because it was quite controlled this year. And I want to credit my friend Jason Hatch, who may be listening right now driving to his job. He represented the Lions, and he was nice and chill and in control, and he handled representing the best team in the division, at least the best team on paper, the favorites to win the division. He handled it with poise and with aplomb. And that's not necessarily the case with myself, the Sultan of Smug or Wobble, when we're talking about our teams. So, therefore, if you miss that, it's podcastable after the show, assumedly, at KFAN.com. It's a Love Covenant on demand. That was in the middle portion of the show. Mike Florio from ProFootballTalk.com was on earlier in the show. And there we discussed the Vikings keeping just two running backs on their active 53-man roster, just two running backs for now, but can't say I've seen that trick in quite some time or ever. And next segment, as we close, there are some things that transpired with these cuts around the National Football League that were strange, into which we will dive, including, I'll just leave this out here for you before we go to break. I mean, it's with the Washington Commanders. All right, it's unbelievable what happened yesterday, because their new general manager is a man named Adam Peters. All right, yeah, I've never heard of him either. And their previous general manager was a man named Martin Mayhew. All right, now, not surprisingly, ego can supersede a lot of things in the National Football League, all right? I mean, it's the Shield, and they let you know it's the Shield, and it's an image-conscious league. Well, so Peters is in his first year as Washington Commanders general manager. Now, the previous general manager in 2023, Mayhew, he had 7 draft picks, all right? He picked 7 guys. This guy Peters rolls in, and on cut day, he cuts 5 of the players who were drafted last year by the other guy and kept 2 of them. I mean, it's phenomenal and shouldn't surprise me at all. You know, the I can do it better than you, or I want my own guys, or whatever. I just couldn't believe when I read that the previous guy drafted 7 of them. The new guy comes in and says, loser, 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 copyright Christian Leitner, and just cut 5/7 of them. 9 to noon continues after this.
Nothing defines Minnesota quite like its 10,000 lakes, and we need to keep them beautiful. Post on social media using the hashtag #ChooseChill to help Coors Light, KFAN, and Conservations Minnesota protect the lakes, rivers, and waters we love. Hashtag #ChooseChill.
The Mesh Besher Spence fan stands are filling in anticipation of the program. Dan Cole, the common man, coming up around the corner, ladies and gentlemen, after a day off. He's rested, and he's ready to perform. Ack-ack-a-dack, give some comedy a whack. Value teammate begins the second half of the equation with the core four. So Common follows 9 to noon. Nordo follows this diatribe right now.
Yeah, you mentioned the Commanders, and that's what I wanted to hit you with in this segment, PA, is we're so trapped in our own fishbowl. For instance, we've talked about the 2022 draft. 5 out of those 10 selections currently on the team, 5 have gone elsewhere, right? And we're so focused in on how Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah is doing, and of course we are. That's our team. But 5 of their 7 2023 draft picks, 3rd rounder Ricky Stromberg, 4th rounder Braden Daniels, 5th round DN KJ Henry, a 6th round running back, and 2 7th rounders out of the mix. And it's one of those things watching as things change around the league. I like the way you put it from first year GM, maybe saying I see the world more clearly.
Yeah.
But among the cuts, whether it's the Browns keeping 4 QBs after they cut down to 53.
Oh, wow, they did?
They did, yeah.
So the calm kept Deshaun, Jameis Winston,
Dorian
Thompson-Robinson,
and Tyler Huntley.
Oh, geez. Wow.
They're all on the final 53. And just watching as we're so,
That's crazy.
We got 2 running backs.
Wow.
We only have 3 tight ends right now. We talk about the IR bits and who's in and who's out by the time some of those guys are able to return.
He can't trust Deshaun.
You don't think he can?
I mean, wow. Whatever. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's maybe.
Well, I don't trust Deshaun, but I mean, this is his head coach. Crazy.
Well, and we're right at the finish line today, and maybe I'll bring that back up with you in Charge on Friday. You were there watching those joints, and this tells me, I think, that story is that they're working on it. They need to work on it.
Yeah.
Financially, they're committed to it working.
Yeah.
But maybe, Jameson,
might be a bad dice roll.
It might absolutely be.
Well, the Cleveland Browns are the only team in the history of the NFL to start 4 quarterbacks during a season last year and make the playoffs. So, but you don't want that to be a harbinger for the next year. Hey, see what we did? Watch us do it again. Hurry, step right up. That is telling. I did not know that.
Dalvin Cook is on the practice squad for the Cowboys now, PA. And, CD gets that deal done. CeeDee Lamb signed the fat deal.
Yeah.
There's still an air of uncertainty with that operation. I don't know how you feel about it, but they got to cross that off the list.
Yeah.
But it's Zeke, right? Zeke's at the very end, and Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn, and now Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, we did, what was the bid last week? Something to 10.
Turn around to 10?
Turn around to 10. But what was the other one?
Downturn for what?
Downturn for what? Well, the downturn for what was Dallas from 12 to 9 or less. I don't like them a lick this year. I just think there's too much consternation within the covenant. And I love Dak Prescott. I think he's a fantastic quarterback. Now they got CeeDee Lamb. So, but CD, in taking the money, he has to know Dak's going to be the quarterback next year. He just has to know that. Whether, I don't know what the franchise tag bid is with him, or if they said we're going to re-sign him, we just have to wait it out.
I think it was like 19, we'll say.
Well, yeah, but is he eligible?
Well, I think he was on the 5th-year option, and then the tag would be, I guess the tag would be in the 20s. My bad.
So, I'm saying I didn't know if they had tagged him once or whatever before. All right, because if I'm CeeDee Lamb, you can have dollars but not have cents. And not having cents would be taking all that money in Dallas and then not like having Cooper Rush or Cooper DeJean or whatever the quarterback's name is. So, I got the downturn for what for the Dallas Cowboys this year.
Myles Gaskin signed to the practice squad, PA, here in Minnesota. Maybe that's a 3rd running back of the future. Kene Nwanwu now to the Saints, it sounds like.
Quite possible with all of that. And may God be with everybody, but most importantly, all of you. Thank you very much for listening to KFAN When You Do. I'm your announcer, Paul Allen. Thank you very much. Everybody have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
We lucky we got 'em.